That girl Henny. Y'all gotta go to her channel.
The girl Henny, do you know who she is?
She a blogger or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like, where did this lady come from?
Girl been on your ass.
She on your life, G.
Shout out to Henny over there.
My bad, y'all. I forgot to put myself on the screen. What's poppin', everybody? It's your favorite goss and doctender, that girl Henny, and today I'm coming to you with a very, very heavy stream. Now, as you can tell, I am not normally, I'm not exactly live ready how I usually am, and after sitting here and really taking some time to gather my thoughts, I haven't been covering this case, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you why. Some things as an empath are very heavy for me to take on. And this case was one of them. That does not mean that I was not following the case. That doesn't mean that I'm not aware of things that were going on. And I want to take the time to shout out Queen Sheba Darling, Neek at Night, and Watching the World 777 Mel, because they were covering this case boots on the ground, delivering it to us raw, real, uncut, telling us what was going on, letting us know what was fact, what was fiction, and just keeping us informed. So that's one. Two, they also dealt with a lot of the things that were going on when it came down to this case. Now, this case is very heavily, heavily, heavily surrounded by racism. This case has brought racism and injustice to the surface. And a lot of people walk around with rose-colored glasses on, and I have to let y'all know that this is not going to be an easy digest. This is probably not even going to be one of those lives where a lot of people participate. I am going to open the panel for people to come up and express how you're feeling, because we've all been watching this case, okay? We've all been watching it since April of 2025 when the incident first happened. We've been watching this case. So let me just give you a brief rundown on the case, and then we'll get into it. So on April 2nd, 2025, students from multiple schools gathered at David Kendrill Stadium in Frisco, Texas, for a track and field meet. During a rain delay, students crowded underneath team tents, which are really not tents, they're more like canopies, but team tents for shelter. 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, a student from Centennial High School, ended up under a tent used by Memorial High School students, including 17-year-old Austin Metcalf and his twin brother. Okay. According to trial testimony, a confrontation broke out after Karmelo Anthony was told that he was sitting in a reserved Memorial athlete's tent. Now, let me just say this before I go any further. That's not the story that came out at trial, okay? About all of that. When it came down to Karmelo sitting underneath the memorial tent, he was invited, according to what was told to the police and then later changed on the stand. He was invited into the tent by a friend named Eddie. Now, Eddie did take the stand, and Eddie flipped the script on Karmelo Anthony, but let me just go ahead and get the history out to you guys, okay? Witnesses testified words were exchanged, and Austin Metcalf either pushed or made physical contact with Anthony. Moments later, Anthony pulled a knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest. Now, on the stand there, from what I gathered, and just understand that I've listened to other people's accounts of things, and it's been a lot of information. So if I get something wrong, charge it to my head and not my heart, especially right now, because right now I'm fighting back emotions, because this thing hits really hard and it hits home. Um, Eddie had invited Karmelo. Eddie and Karmelo, can you guys hear me? Because I can't hear myself and I don't know what's happening. My sound go out. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys? Okay, there it goes. There it goes. There it goes. So, was it the whole time or was it just now? Right, but was it it just happened? Okay. All right. So as soon as it went out in my headset, that's when it went out for you guys. All right, cool. So Eddie and Karmelo had a relationship outside of the track and field. According to testimony, Eddie says that he knew Karmelo through her ex-girlfriend. Well, through his ex-girlfriend, Carmelo's ex-girlfriend. But on cross examination, the defense, he was trying to, let me back up. He was trying to make it seem like he didn't really know Carmelo Anthony, that they weren't really friends like that they were just kind of like acquaintances through third party. But the defense was able to see that that wasn't the case. They were able to prove that because there were photographs of the two of them. Carmelo was at his grandmother's 50th birthday party. You don't invite people to 50th birthday parties for your granny. You don't invite them to family nights and they're not your friend. Okay, there's even photographs that came up of them on the field laughing and having a good time with one another, and the girlfriend was not in the picture. So Eddie got on the stand and basically betrayed Carmelo and made it seem as if he had nothing to do with what was going on. He didn't invite him over, none of that. Okay. So that was Eddie's story. Now, I'm going to let you know right now, this is going to be conspiracy theory ish as well. I'm going to spin because guess what? Everybody else has spun. The case is over and I'm going to spin and I'm going to bring my thoughts, my opinions, everything into it. And yes, I am angry. Okay. I am very angry. It says that the wound proved fatal and Austin collapsed and died at the scene, reportedly in the presence of his twin brother, Hunter Metcalf. Karmelo was detained shortly after. Karmelo was arrested the same day and charged with murder under Texas law. Because he was 17 years old at the time of the stabbing, Texas law required that he be prosecuted as an adult. So in case you did not know that that's what was going on, that's what Texas law required, is that Karmelo be sentenced as an adult and not as a minor. From the beginning, Anthony's legal team signaled they would pursue a self-defense argument, claiming he feared for his safety during the confrontation. The case immediately became national news. The victim, Austin Metcalf, was white. Anthony is black. Social media quickly turned the case into a broader debate about race, self-defense, and the criminal justice system, which should be brought underneath scrutiny and underneath a microscope because, as you know, in the United States, if you are not from here, then let me let you know, the justice system. The justice system is one that is rigged, just so you know. Okay. Now, Karmelo's bond was initially set at $1 million. In April of 2025, a judge reduced the bond to $250,000 after considering his lack of criminal history, all right, academic record, and athletic accomplishments. Anthony was released under strict conditions, including supervision requirements and restrictions on social media. The bond reduction sparked intense public reaction from both supporters and critics. And on June 24th of 2025, a Collin County grand jury formally indicted Anthony on a murder charge. Oh, I didn't know he was that much heavier. What are we talking about? Yeah, we didn't even get there yet. Y'all are jumping ahead. We didn't even get there yet. So they indicted him. The indictment meant prosecutors believed there was enough evidence to proceed to trial. Anthony maintained his not guilty plea and continued asserting self-defense. In July of 2025, Judge John Roach Jr. set a trial date for June 1st of 2026. Because of the enormous public attention surrounding the case, the court later issued special rules limiting public access and media activity to protect the fairness of the proceedings. Pause right there, okay? So, They limited the media in coming in, which is true, because people were being turned away. All right. Everything in this case was not released. You can't even get trial transcripts right now of this case. They're not available at the moment. I don't know if they'll ever be available. I don't know Texas procedures or any of that, but I guess we're going to learn as we go along. Okay. The jury selection began on June 1st, 2026 in Collin County. One of the biggest controversies involved was the final makeup of the jury. No Black jurors ultimately served on the panel. Let me pause right there. And let me say this, and I don't care who gets in their feelings. Black people, we have got to do better at showing up. 3 people showing up and being turned away is not enough. We have got to start answering these jury duty summonses when they come in the mail. Not only that, I have heard people complain that it was a white judge. It shouldn't have been a white judge. Well, guess what? We're not pushing our children to become judges either. We're pushing them to be rappers and athletes and everything except for where it's going to matter and impact the most. And I don't give a damn who don't like what I just said, because it's a fact. We need to start teaching our children to go into the places that matter the most. Now, I'm going to put a pin in that tangent, but that's a fact. Because we always get mad when we don't have a jury of our peers. We always get mad when it's a white jury, or if it's a mixed race of jurors, but there's no Black people, or there's only one Black person there. We're not showing up in numbers like they are. So we need to do better as a people. And that's just my spin on it, okay? The defense challenged the prosecution's removal of several Black prospective jurors, but the judge allowed the strikes after prosecutors argued race was not the reason for their removal. So the defense was against them removing the Black jurors. But from what I'm understanding from people who were there during jury selection, and again, this is coming from secondhand information, so I cannot confirm nor deny that what I'm about to say is 100% the truth. But from what I understand, some of them were saying that they could not be non-biased, or that they could not sentence this young man. And so they were not there. The jury ultimately consisted of white, Hispanic, and Asian jurors. Okay, that's according to The Guardian. All right. Prosecutors argued this was not self-defense, but rather a murder that occurred after a relatively minor dispute over seating under a tent. They presented student eyewitness testimony, surveillance footage, body cam footage, medical evidence, and autopsy findings, testimony from students, coaches, and responding officers, according to the Associated Press. The state argues Anthony escalated a verbal dispute into a deadly encounter by pulling out a knife instead of walking away. Prosecutors repeatedly emphasized that Anthony brought the knife to the event and had opportunities to de-escalate, according to the New York Post. The prosecution called approximately 21 witnesses before resting its case, according to NBC5 Dallas. Defense's case centered everything around self-defense. Karmelo's attorney argued Austin Metcalf was physically larger, which, as it was mentioned in the chat, there was a 100-pound difference between Austin and Karmelo, and a 7-inch difference between the two of them. Austin, if I'm not mistaken, weighed 225 pounds. So he was definitely bigger than Karmelo Anthony. Okay. Anthony felt threatened. The encounter unfolded rapidly, and Anthony believed he was in danger when physical contact occurred. Texas law does not require someone to retreat before using force if they reasonably believe deadly force is necessary. Okay. Defense witnesses testified Anthony appeared distraught after the stabbing and repeatedly stated that he warned Metcalf not to touch him. Anthony himself did not testify, according to the Associated Press and the New York Post. I'm citing where I got this information from, okay? Throughout the year-long lead up to trial, the case became one of the most debated criminal cases on social media. Supporters of Anthony argued he acted in self-defense, media coverage was unfair, and that race influenced public perception, which I agree it did, and it always does. Supporters of Metcalf's family agreed that Austin was unarmed and a seating dispute did not justify deadly force. The evidence contradicted self-defense. The case became highly polarized online, with fundraisers, protests, and extensive social media campaigning on both sides, according to the Times of India. After 4 days of testimony, both sides delivered closing arguments. The prosecution urged jurors, to reject self-defense and find Anthony guilty of murder, and the defense argued that the state failed to disprove self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. Jurors deliberated for approximately 3 hours. Stop. Jurors deliberated for 3 hours. I can guarantee you the reason that these people deliberated for 3 hours was for one of two things or both. One of them being they did not want to be sequestered into a hotel room and locked in there, because that's what the judge was saying, that they was going to be sequestered. Okay, they didn't want that. Not only that, they already had their minds made up. But to me, that is bogus, and that is a miscarriage of justice. Because how do you deliberate over somebody's life for 3 hours? Leave him in here uniquely. Don't touch him. How do you deliberate for 3 hours over someone's life? The jury found Karmelo Anthony guilty of murder in the death of Austin Metcalf. The jury rejected the defense's self-defense claim and also declined to convict on a lesser charge, such as manslaughter, because the judge also offered manslaughter as an option, as an alternative to first-degree murder. And the jury still went with first-degree murder. Karmelo reportedly became emotional after hearing the verdict. His mother later testified during the punishment phase, asking the jury for mercy and stating that her son regrets what happened. The same jury is now responsible for determining Anthony's punishment. Because he was 17 at the time of the offense, he cannot receive the death penalty. He cannot receive life without parole. He faces a sentencing range of approximately 5 to 99 years or life with the possibility of parole under Texas law, according to the Sun. So I'm going to repeat that again. Because he was 17 at the time of the offense, he cannot, under Texas law, receive the death penalty, life without parole. But he is facing a sentencing range of 5 to 99 years or life with the possibility of parole, according to the Sun. As of this moment, sentencing remains pending, according to the Guardian. I'm still stuck on the 3 hours to deliberate over somebody's life. Was manslaughter at minimum? This was fixed. Now we're going to get into all of that. So let's talk about this. So, first degree murder, which is the most serious of the two charges that the jury had to go with. All right. So, when it's first degree murder, that means that prosecutors must prove that the person intended to kill someone and acted with premeditation, even if the planning only lasted a short time. I do not believe that Karmelo Anthony intended to kill Austin Metcalf. Some examples: waiting for someone and shooting them, deciding during an argument to kill someone and then carrying it out, bringing a weapon and intentionally using it to cause death. Bringing a weapon and intentionally using it to cause death. That is not what happened here. Manslaughter. Manslaughter is an unlawful killing, but without the same level of intent or planning as murder. There are two common types. You have voluntary manslaughter, and this is often called a heat of passion killing, where a person suddenly provoked and loses control. The killing happens during an intense emotional confrontation, or there are no cool down periods for rational thought. That is what manslaughter is. That's what this sounded like to me. Involuntary manslaughter. This occurs when someone dies because of reckless or negligent behavior, but there was no intent to kill. Reckless gun handling, dangerous driving, and certain accidents caused by gross negligence. So that means that the jury believed that Karmelo deliberately used deadly force knowing that it would kill Austin. And then you have people out here saying the jury got it right. Well, let's explore some of this, shall we? Let's explore some of this. Let me go to my handy dandy email and let's pull up some things. Now, this is a disorganized live, so you know I'm not going to give it to you boom, 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 because I don't have it boom, 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 boom already worked out. But what I do have is okay. What I do have is some photographs that I'm going to show y'all. I have some photographs I'm going to show you. So let's get this screen up here, shall we? And let's look through this. All right. So the first photograph that you are seeing is of the Metcalfs and the judge who presided over this case. But wait, there's more. Okay. There goes the judge. And there's the district attorney as well. If we're hobnobbing with judges, then is it so far-fetched to believe that the fix was in the way that people are believing and perceiving that it was? Not only that, hold on. Not only that, they highlighted a lot of the Black people that were out there at the trial, but they didn't highlight this that was going on out there.
Really soft glove treatment because they're Black, and these woke judges are trying to set a two-tier standard of justice. So that's actually incorrect information. The exorbitant rate of 1.25 million.
I'm going to start this over because I should have introduced this to you guys a little bit better. I want you guys to pay attention to what he's saying. Pay attention to what he's saying. And then I'm going to give my thoughts after.
Really soft glove treatment because they're Black, and these woke judges are trying to set a two-tier standard of justice. So that's actually incorrect information. The exorbitant rate of $1.25 million bond for Chud the Builder is unprecedented.
Okay, and what do you have to say about Anthony?
Well, Karmelo Anthony, we understand that this man was not like an upstanding citizen. We've seen photos of him with guns. We've seen photos of him using drugs. We've seen photos of him giving kind of demonic faces, flipping off the camera, lighting lighters on fire. And so he was a troublesome kid.
I have to stop it. I thought I was going to be able to play it for y'all and just be quiet because I had already seen it. Let's go back to what he said. He brought up Chud the Builder. The way this man is talking, and he's saying that the woke judges, as he holds up a White Lives Matters sign. This sounds like what we say. He's trying to make it seem like white people don't get justice in this country when y'all get justice every single day. Every single day. They get justice. Every single day. Now, he just tried to paint a narrative. He just tried to paint Karmelo Anthony as a troublesome kid who had posts of him with guns, posts of him setting lighters on fire, posts of him giving demonic faces. Yet he has no criminal history. He had a 3.4 GPA, and he had accomplishments as an athlete in school. He was an upstanding student. But yet you're out here painting him out to be some type of monster. Yet Austin and his brother weren't even supposed to be at that track meet that day because they were already in trouble. They were in trouble and were not supposed to be there. Is that not what we heard? Is that not what we heard?
And he went to a track meet with a knife for no reason. I mean, I used to run track and field in high school. I never even heard of that. And so he had premeditated intentions to get into trouble. And when Austin Metcalf simply asked a young man to leave his tent because he wasn't part of that school and that team, the man plunged a knife into his heart, and he needs to be tried for a death penalty.
So Austin asked him, according to him, Austin said to him politely, "Can you please leave the tent?" And Karmelo, in return, just jabbed him for no reason. And he should get the death penalty. And this is the thought process and the mentality of people in that area. Yeah. Do you hear how the narrative is being spun to paint him as a monster? As an out-of-control Black man. Here we are with another Black male, out of control, danger to society, Cage the animal. Okay, so Michelle says, they also beat their father at one point and broke his arm. I don't know if that's true, but that caught my eye. What happened? The heck does he know all of those things about Karmelo? All lies, but too many will believe it, especially white folks. All them kids in a group chat to make him the aggressor. But this is the rhetoric that's been going on.
This needs to be set a standard in America that we cannot have young black men roaming our streets, racistly looking to victimize white people. We need to set the standard here. And the fact that he's out on bond is a danger to society.
So now Karmelo Anthony is just out here racially profiling people to unalive them, is basically what he's saying. And he's a threat to society, and he should get the death penalty. Well, where were you? Would you have even been there with this same rhetoric, holding a sign with 4 black people on there that says Black Lives Matter, had this been the other way around? No, you would not. No, you would not. But they say we were making it about race. It was us out there making it about race.
The next mailman that goes to his door in his house, all of a sudden could be jabbed with a knife as well. Karmelo Anthony should not be on the streets. And me being a January 6th political prisoner, I had no criminal record.
Him being a January 6th insurrectioner with no criminal record. So you're a criminal. You're a magatard. That's why your brain operates like this. You're a magatard. But now, all of a sudden, Karmelo, and listen to what they're saying. You could take that out my live. Take that out take that out the live. I'm back. Take it out the live. Okay? Here's the thing. Do you see how the narrative is being painted right now? The narrative that is coming out of this man's mouth is that Karmelo Anthony is an uncontrollable black male that is targeting white people. And he's so out of control, and he's such a danger to society that the mailman could end up stabbed just like Austin. Because Austin was just politely asking him to leave the tent.
I was held for 1,467 days without being given bond, not even a number that they gave me. And I have no criminal record, and I did not hurt anybody. To see this 2-tier standard of justice that I suffered 4 years and 6 days.
He suffered being held for breaking into the Capitol or Congress. You broke into a federal building and you helped tear it up. Well, guess what? You have no criminal history, and neither did Karmelo. Karmelo Anthony had no criminal history. He was an upstanding student. Can we say the same about the Metcalf boys? And I'm going to say those things that other people haven't said, and I don't care if it sounds biased. I don't care how it sounds. I don't care. The trial is over, and I don't care. Speaking my mind. What's their history? What's their history? Because from what we heard, they were not upstanding students.
Prison cell. While this murderer is out running free, he's getting to play Xbox and eating Cheetos on his couch. It personally hurts my heart understanding what I had to go through in the deep state weaponization in Washington, D.C., and how he's being treated with kid gloves here in Texas.
And what are you hoping comes of this?
We need the death penalty. We need a swift, and Austin Metcalf's life needs to be avenged, and Karmelo Anthony needs to be put to death.
He needs to be put to death. He's saying it like he's talking about an animal.
And what would you like to say?
Well, white lives matter, and we're seeing in America right now this understanding that if you're white and you're being victimized, if you're being brutalized, that you do not have the same rights, not only in the courtroom, but the police officers. Henry Novak, this young man in England, he was stabbed by a Sikh, by a brown individual, and they actually handcuffed this man's hand behind his back. The video just came out yesterday, and let him bleed to death because he was alleged to have made a racist comment to the man. So the police immediately treated him as the perpetrator of the crime, while the man who stabbed him stood there and, basically said he was being racist and he attacked me first. Henry Novak's blood, Austin Metcalf's blood, Irina Saruski's blood cries out for justice, and
he's right about one thing. The justice system is not equal, and it's not fair treatment. It's not. Because if it was Karmelo's face that was on a Black Lives Matter sign out there in that parking lot, this wouldn't be the conversation that we would be having. And I can guarantee you, Austin Metcalf would have gotten off with possibly an involuntary manslaughter charge, and he probably would have been on electronic monitoring at home. And that's the fact of this. And don't get in your feelings when I'm talking the truth, because we all know that if Austin had killed Karmelo, Austin would be going home with his family tonight with a slap on the wrist. That's how this would have went. And let me tell you something. It has been said by multiple people who were inside of that courtroom that Metcalf father was intimidating those witnesses. And allegedly, possibly coaching one of them as well while they were on the stand, because a blogger said that they caught Mr. Metcalf nodding his head to say no when a witness on the stand was asked a question, and the witness kept looking over at Mr. Metcalf, and Mr. Metcalf shook his head no, and the kid answered no. The fact of the matter is the deck is always stacked against us. It's always stacked against us. We don't get our liberties. We aren't treated the same. And that's a fact. These laws were never put into place to be justice for us. It was never. These laws were put into place to keep slaves, because it was the only legal way that they could still have slaves in this country. That's what the judicial system is all about. Because when you are an inmate, you are a slave. You have no human rights whatsoever, which is why inmates work for pennies, for scraps when they're in prison. Well, in all fairness, the Knicks game was last night. The verdict was today. Where was the jury of his peer? Wait, what was that? Where was a jury of his peer? Where was a jury of his peers? Where was the judge where was the judge recused himself? Why didn't the defense attorney call more than 6 witnesses while prosecutors called 23? What I'm going to say to you is the defense did not put on. The defense did not do what the defense was supposed to do. They didn't come and put on for their city. I mean, not for their city, for their client. They didn't come and present a case that was rock solid. Are you kidding me? If that's what they consider to be, let me take this down. If that's what they consider to be a rock solid defense, they failed. They failed miserably and horribly. They failed. And yesterday, everyone broke for lunch. And it was said that they were supposed to go back. They broke for lunch at 11 and they were supposed to go back at 12:30. And when everybody went back into the courtroom at 12:30, what was supposed to happen was the defense was supposed to put on their case. And the reason that they wanted the lunch at 11 is because they wanted to just go ahead. They didn't want to kill their momentum once they started calling in their witnesses, which actually amped everybody up to believe that there was going to be a case presented by the defense. But unfortunately, people were still waiting around outside at 2:00 in the afternoon. At 2:30 in the afternoon, people were still waiting around to get inside of the courthouse. And when people were led into the courthouse, it was reported that the parents were in the courtroom of Karmelo Anthony and the Metcalfs. They were in there too. The Anthonys and the Metcalfs were in there, and the prosecution and the defense were in there, and the judge was in there. And it was reported that Karmelo's mother was upset. And when they got back into the courtroom, the defense no longer wanted to put on a case. They rested. They rested their case. What was the conversation that was had while no one was in the courtroom? What was said? Oh, yeah, and they said Karmelo was in there too. There's so much at play here. Karmelo never once denied stabbing Austin, but it was reported that he was distraught. He was distraught after it happened. That doesn't sound like somebody who intended to take someone's life. That sounds to me like somebody who instantaneously had remorse for what was going on, moved out of fear. See, they don't know what it's like to be Black in America. And yeah, I'm going here. Why was Karmelo carrying a knife? We don't have an answer as to what was going on that he felt like he had to protect himself. I said this earlier on my IG Live. I said the same thing with Cyrus. Y'all do know about that case, right? Y'all know about the case of Cyrus Carmack and Rick Chow, where Cyrus was a 14-year-old Black boy in South Carolina who went into the convenience store of the gas station. They made him drop his book bag at the door. He walked over to the refrigerator with the water in it, grabbed 4 bottles of water, put the 4 bottles of water back, and decided to walk out of the store. But here's the thing. Even after he put his book bag down and went over there to the refrigerator, the Asian woman Miss Chow followed Cyrus, eyeballed him. When he got ready to walk out of the store, she accused him of having a water bottle, made him shake his hoodie pocket, like shake his hoodie and all of that. Cyrus grabbed his book bag and walked out of the store peacefully. As he bent the corner to cross the parking lot, Mr. Chow and his son came out, chasing him. As he was running away, Mr. Chow pulled out his handgun and shot Cyrus in his back. Cyrus was in a sprinter's position, they said, when Mr. Chow shot him. And it's also said by the defense that it was unknown that Cyrus had a firearm on him until it fell from his pocket as his body was dropping to the ground. Now, Mr. Chow's defense was that Cyrus pulled his firearm out and aimed it at his son, so he shot him. It became about Mr. Chow protecting his son and not about the fact that Mr. Chow chased him after he had exited his store and gunned him down. And guess what? Mr. Chow was found not guilty of murder. Mr. Chow's store at the gas station was rioted. It was graffiti. The windows were broken. It looked like the inside there may have been a fire. I don't know, but it was a gas station, so I hope it wasn't a fire. But what did that tell us? Now, people were saying that 14-year-old Austin should not have had a firearm on him. Why are these young black men carrying firearms and knives on them in the street in the South? Let me pull this up real quick. Juliana, who was 16 years old in April of this year, was found dead hanging from a tree on church property in Charlotte, North Carolina. Trey Reed, last year, Delta State University, was found hanging in the university quad. Kyle Basinga, 21, was reported missing in Georgia and was later found hanging from a tree in the park. You want to tell me that we don't have a right to be scared when we walk out our doors? When our kids walk out their doors? Is that what you're telling me? Bradley said they did an experiment years ago. They had a white guy and a black guy walk down a busy street with an assault rifle. No one questioned the white guy, and the cops drew out on the black guy. We know there's criminals. We see y'all, pal. What? Posing up the schools all the time. Oh, they pow in the schools up all the time. This country has never been great. I don't know why people ever thought it was. It was built on blood from the very first time one of them stepped on our land, and it's probably going to end that way. It was great for them. When slavery was going around and we were considered to be low on the totem pole and we were chattel, property to be traded and sold, that's when it was great for them because they were making lots of money off the backs of the people who were already here and the people they brought here. But I just told you about 3 people who were hung in the South. In South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. And you're going to tell me, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. You had North Carolina. You had Delta State University. Isn't that down there in Texas? And you also had Georgia. Hanged is not the word, dumbass. It's hung. Learn to speak. Want to come in here and try to correct someone and you sound ignorant. They were hanged. No, they were hung. Hung is past tense. To hang something is present. Hang. Hanging. It's hung when it's past tense. Bitch, I know what I'm saying. What, because I'm black, I don't know how to talk? Fuck out of here. I said what the fuck I said. I said what the fuck I said. I dare you get the fuck out my live. Anyway. I just dropped the link if anybody wants to come up here and share their thoughts on this case, how they feel about any of the stuff that I just talked about, because these are the types of cases, if I'm going to be honest with you, I want to talk about these cases. I want to talk more about what's going on in real life, because here's the thing. I can talk to y'all about whack and blueface and all of the bullshit that goes on, who's beefing with who, what rapper is going up against this rapper. I can talk to y'all about those things, and I don't mind talking about those things, because at the end of the day, your mother's a dumbass, you bitch. Now how about that? Now you just earned yourself a hello from the other side, directly from me. You thought you was going to go from one line to the other and harass me? I'll ban your ass. You see what it says down in the corner or at the bottom of this screen? It says that girl Henny. This is my shit. And if I say hang or hunged or hung or hanging, it's what the fuck I said. Bitch. No need to call security. I got him. I got him. And I know what they're trying to say to me. What they're trying to tell me is the proper terminology for it is hanged, because it refers to someone being hung. But hanged is ignorant, isn't it? I'm going to say what the fuck I want to say. Now, when I'm wrong on something, I will take that, but you're not going to correct me when I know what you're saying. Your mother's ignorant. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. These are the types of things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about the real life stuff, because all that other bullshit doesn't even matter. You know what, Tracy Dawson, you are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct, and thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me not to stoop to their level. Anyway, I want to cover these kinds of stories for everybody, but as you know, the numbers go crazy when I talk about other things, when I talk about gossip, when I talk about celebrities, when I talk about other that stuff. But when we get to this right here, this is where it becomes hard. And you know what? I don't even care about people having their opinions and saying what they're saying, because the ignorant will reveal themselves. And I really don't care to get into all of that with everyone. What I care to talk about is what's going on in this country and how do we do better? How do we do better as a people? Now, earlier I was saying that we need to start answering those jury duty letters instead of tossing them to the side and ducking out on jury duty. I've been guilty of that in the past myself, in my 20s and my 30s. I'm like, I'm not going to jury duty. But that's because no one ever stressed the importance of jury duty to us. What I saw coming up was a bunch of people that tried to duck jury duty. So it becomes something that we've learned to duck. But now we're seeing in these trials how important it is for us to show up for jury duty. Start teaching our children to become lawyers and judges and congresspeople and run for the House and the Senate, where real change can happen. Because we don't have enough of us representing ourselves in these spaces and places where we need them to be. What we do as a people is we get online, we make these posts, we go live, we talk about we're going to black this out, we're boycotting this and we're boycotting that. And you know what? I was going to ignore you, but I'm going to give you a little shine right now, because let me say this to you. You're talking about a 17-year-old who murdered somebody, right? That's what you're talking about? Well, talk to me about all of the white people, the white children that have gone into high schools and middle schools, and they've shot it up and killed innocent children with heavy artillery that their parents claim they didn't know they had. But yet y'all have a propensity to have heavy duty assault rifles and to be in the woods training on how to hunt people down, how to use these high powered rifles and assault weapons that they use to shoot up schools. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about that. And what I just said to you shows that there's issues. There's issues that y'all need to deal with, and there's issues that we need to deal with as a people. I'm talking to my people. I'm not talking to you. Go over there and start your own live and figure out how you could stop your children from shooting up schools. That's what you do. Right now, I'm going to talk to my people. And I know that a lot of us feel like, I'm not going to vote. My vote doesn't count. I'm not going to get out there and vote. We do need to vote. We absolutely need to vote, because guess what? Those votes do matter. And it's not a matter of doing away with the election process. It's a matter of doing away with the electoral college, because that's what messes up the votes all the time. That's why when we have a popular vote, the person who had the most votes in the popular votes is not the person who always wins with the electoral college. Because the electoral college is a collection of people who add up the states. Do y'all know about the electoral college? Do y'all understand? Like, I'm not being funny. I'm being so for real. I'm being so for real. Because a lot of people don't understand how this works, okay? So let's break this down really, really quickly so everybody can understand what happens. So we vote in each state, right? We vote on election day, and each state gets electoral votes, which represents the seats in Congress. So like California has 54 electoral votes, Florida has 30 electoral votes, etc., etc. If a candidate wins the popular vote in a state, even by a tiny margin, they usually get all of that state, but that doesn't always happen. Okay? Each candidate, whoever's going to win, they need 270 electoral votes to win. And the reason they need that is because there's 435 members in the House of Representatives, 100 senators, and 3 electoral votes go for the District of Columbia, right? So altogether, there's 537. They need 270 of those votes. Now, if you live in a state and say that state is worth 10 electoral votes, that's what matters. The popular votes help you get to those electoral numbers. So a person, when they want those states to flip, that's why. Because in the end, the electoral college is going to vote. They're going to tally everything up, and that's how it determines the winner. But we don't even get that process if you're not even voting. It is important to vote. Hey, Mama Flip,
Hey, darling, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Whew. I have an earpiece on, so forgive me if I come in and out. I don't have the cord. I have the cordless.
It's
So
okay.
I've been watching your show, girl, all this time, and I hear you. The reasons why I don't think you ever saw me go on live. I think only in the very beginning I joined a couple of panels
Mm,
about the Carmelo case, and
mm-hmm.
on TikTok, and then I stopped joining. Because to be honest with you, I never thought he was going to get a fair trial at all. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't. The in all the different panels that they had talking about the videos and the evidence and what's going to be shown, and there was so much hostility on both sides. And I want to be respectful as a survivor because as survivors, as people who lost family members to gun violence. So I want to be respectful of families who also lost other loved ones. But to be honest with you, I never thought he had a chance.
Yeah.
I just never did. And I wasn't going to continue to go on panels and try to analyze and dissect and make believe like this is going to be an actual legal trial, right? It
Mm-hmm.
got to the
Mm-hmm.
point where, you and I covered the Diddy trial. I even considered even going down, taking some time to go down there. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to waste my time to go down there. It doesn't make sense to me, right? Spend the money and go to a hotel, get a hotel and spend the money to cover the trial when I know it's going to be a highway, inching. I knew
Mm-hmm.
they was going to find him guilty. The only time that I got really upset and I looked for a flight is when one of our content creators was being harassed down
Yes.
there, and I wanted to go down there and look some people in the face, and I wanted them to test me because you know how I roll. You know how I
I
play
know.
New York
I
every
know how
day.
you
I've got
roll, girl.
I've gotten tested by the best of them, and I wanted to stand right next to her, and I'm like, yeah, I want to see what you do. Like, let's go. Like, who the hell you guys think that we afraid of you? I don't care. None of us afraid of you because we've been there way before you. Yeah,
Right.
because God rest the young man who lost his life. Again, condolences to the family as a fellow
Right.
survivor. You understand what I'm saying? Because I got to put it out there. You understand? But at the end of the day, he did not get a fair trial. I don't care what anybody said. He
Mm-mm.
wasn't going to get a fair trial. And what really pissed me off, and had to stop listening to the content creators because my blood pressure was getting high, was the fact that I heard that apparently the family members was able to show emotion in court
Yes.
and
Yes.
cry. Were
The
we able to
mother
even talk?
the mother was wailing during testimony, um and
That
having
girl, Henny.
emotional outbursts during testimony.
That girl, Henny. My love. You and I was a Diddy case. Most of the
You're
time we
not
were
allowed to
sitting.
show emotion in no court
We
trial. You're
were
not supposed to do
exactly,
that.
exactly. We were where we wasn't even inside the courtroom. We most of the time we were in the
In the
other room
overflow, and we
on the
still
whole
had to
floor.
abide by the same rules
Thank
as the
you.
main courtroom. And you
Exactly.
were not allowed to have emotional outbursts. Okay,
No,
they
I
would
don't. Not
ask
even
you to
whisper.
leave.
Thank you. Thank you. Even on the day of the verdict, I was there the day of the verdict, and they said, "Okay, the jury's coming out. I don't
And
want to
they
hear. We
told us
don't
that
want to
we
hear
could
other
not
people
have any emotion, even though
a
people did still
reaction."
kind of.
Yeah, some people did. I don't know in the main courtroom, but I know after, downstairs we did. But we were instructed specifically not
Mm-hmm.
to react.
You're
So you
right.
mean to tell me throughout the whole trial, you have a bunch of white tea people who are jurors,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm supposed to expect to realize as a black person in America with two black children, young men, to say that, oh, we have an all white tea juror. So yeah, the black boy who unalive a white teen in a mostly, if not all racist, what in Texas and that community,
Mm-hmm.
which is mostly white tea, I'm supposed to be expected to believe like, oh yeah, they're gonna be fair. Oh yeah, sure, they're gonna be fair. And then now, then I heard the judge was a friend, and you telling me that the
Right.
judge didn't have to recuse himself? Where are we? Where are we living? Like, what the fuck? Excuse my language.
But
Where
see,
are we? In
this
the
is
South?
this is what people
What
aren't
are we
really
playing?
paying attention to because Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, all of the most southern states,
Yep.
and I'm going to say some of the Carolinas, all of the most southern states, there's still an undertone of the good old boys.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And finding out that the Metcalfs had some type of dealings with the judge and possibly the DA as well, that
Hold
did
on a
not
second.
sit
And
well with me.
what you got?
Beyonce's wig, you are absolutely correct. Texas is a stand your ground state. Um, but as you can see, it's only stand your ground for some.
Okay. First
And
of
while
all,
I
I
do
am.
understand self defense, I do understand that you are supposed to meet with the same force. But how do you meet with the same force when you have two boys standing over you that over number one, they towered over Carmelo by 7 inches. Number two, they at least Austin was 100 pounds heavier than Carmelo was as well. So how do you tell me how much force when you've got these people? Now, one of them testified that it was a U shape around him. And then he was like, well, I could have been mistaken. It looks like an L shape. Either way, there was a bunch of people there. He was outnumbered underneath that tent. So how do we measure the level of force for self-defense?
First of all, can you hear me? Because my phone went out. First of
Yeah,
all,
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I'm one of those people. I could say. Oh, can we say the GUN
You can say it.
word? I'm a
We're an
gun.
hour in. You're
Okay,
good.
I'm a gun violence. You could check me my credential, a gun violence prevention advocate for 10 years. I understand the 10 year stand your ground laws.
Mm-hmm.
We've been fighting against it for years. The fact of the matter is, stand your ground dictates threat, right? So if we're taking the stand your ground laws the way it was actually written, then Carmelo had the right to stand his ground, not the twins. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That's how the law was written. If you feel threatened with your life in any manner, then you have the right to defend yourself. And I'm going to say it, and you said it, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to repeat what you said. If it was the reverse, those young men, you were saying that those young men would have gone, one of the twins would have gone home. I don't believe the jury would have indicted him in the first place.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
even
think
think that
there
we
would have
would
been
have
a
gone.
grand
We
jury
would have.
return.
There would have been a grand jury return. There wouldn't have been an indictment. There would have been nothing. He would have gone home and would have patted in the back and saying, good old boy, good for you. You defended yourself and you defended your brother. Come on, give me a break. What are we playing here? What are we playing? What I don't like is bullshit. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, we have different. Not everything is about race, but this is a clear definition of race for most of us who actually was watching this case who didn't go down. And why didn't a lot of us go down? Because we knew it was going to
I
be
knew
railroaded.
we
We
knew
knew
that.
we're not going to
Well,
stand
not
our
only
money.
that, first of all, it slipped my mind and all of that because I had every intention to want to go to cover this. But I think the reason why it kind of slipped from my mind and just completely disappeared from my algorithm, by the way, is because it wasn't meant for me to go down there. Because of all of the racial tension that's going on, because of because it was what was going on in the courthouse and what was going on outside the courthouse. Okay, um, I did see the content creator who was upset crying in her car because she was approached. You
I was
understand what I'm
so upset about
saying?
that. I was
Like
so
there
upset
was a
about
lot, so much so that the Black Panthers had to surround her during her next live and
that. Thank
protect
God
her
I
while
saw
she
them.
was out there.
I saw them, yes. Thank God the brothers was there for her. Yes, I did see that. Now I can't hear you. Can you
Oh no,
hear
I
me?
didn't say anything. I just
Oh,
stopped
okay.
because I saw a comment and I needed to get them up out of here quickly.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't see the comment. You're lucky I can't see the comment because I'm not reading it, or I would have more to say to the comment. So I just wanted to come here and support you and support what you have to say. You see, and I might go live later on also because I know a lot of the panel, and I feel bad for a lot of the panelists that actually on TikTok that actually took the time all these months to actually have um, thought-worthy comments where they invited both sides to come and talk and to strategize and to discuss. what's going on, what the thoughts was, the evidence. They actually looked through the evidence and everything like that. They had family members come up and talk about the various thoughts and process. I appreciate all the efforts. I may be the only single one in this whole process, but I never, not 1 inch a moment felt that this young man and his family was going to have a fair trial. The
And
only
see,
time that I
that's
thought there was maybe was when there was an inkling, some type of discussion that his family was one of our black mega supporters. I heard about
mhm.
that, like a father was a GOP Republican. I'm like, maybe possibly he might have some connections that may be able to help him out. That I think that's the most hope that I gave this young man. I had zero
Well, see,
anticipation that
my
this was going
thing
to be
with this
this.
story is, people aren't looking at the full scope of everything that is going on here, okay? I'm not insensitive to what the Metcalf family has lost, okay? They have lost their son, a twin has lost their brother, and I'm not unsympathetic to that. I do sympathize with them. But out my anger, and I think a lot of us, our anger is the fact that we've seen miscarriages of justice happen all the time. And the sad part about it is, and people hear me out. It's like when a white kid gets in trouble, they get a slap on the wrist and a second chance at life. But when it's us, they take our life from us. They take our life from us. We don't get a second chance. How many stories have we heard of them partying and something happens, and all of a sudden, because of the influence that they have over the community, the case still goes unsolved, even though all the evidence points towards, or because of, they get off, or they get a very minimal sentence that their family can have expunged or sealed from their record so they can go on with their life. We're not allowed to go on with our lives. They're allowed to get second chances, and we're not. And what happened with Karmelo was a tragedy. Now, this young man's life is flipped upside down. The possibilities for him are limited now, as where they were endless before. His mother is going to have to go visit her son in prison. And I don't think people understand the weight that that carries on a mother. It's very obvious that she was not raising him to be out in the streets and doing all of this and doing all of that. He had no criminal history, and he was an upstanding student and a superb athlete. So at
Uh,
the end of the day, you can't turn around and say, well, where were the parents? Parents were obviously there, his mother and his father. But it's always us that gets looked at as the animals that are unworthy of having a second chance. And that's what is enraging me right now. Because now his life is forever altered. Their lives are altered. Everybody connected to this, it has altered them. And there's no winners in this at all. But the injustice has to stop, because that was not first degree murder. It wasn't. It wasn't.
and I agree with you, and I want to say because I hear this from my fellow survivors all the time. They're going to say that Kamala mother is lucky because at least she has a live son
Oh, they've
to
already
go
said that.
visit for the year. They're gonna say that, and where they the mother Milcalf, I can't pronounce the name, family lost their son, and I get that, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want we want everybody to understand what we're saying. What we're saying is that it wasn't a fair trial.
Mm-mm.
Whether the incident happened the way it happened is one thing. You understand what I'm saying? If it was a fair trial, then you wouldn't have a jury that goes out for 3 hours and
Three
come back
hours.
and come back and say that it was a first degree murder. You just won't. Because if you look at the textbook of the case and everything that happened in the proof, if it was any other denomination, any other nationality, any other ethnicity, anything, they would not have come back with that. They wouldn't. Thank God if we could look at anything. And again, I'm sorry, my condolences to the people, the family member that lost their son. But in one grace for Carmelo that he was 17 years old. That's the only grace. That's the only grace because they would have unalived him. In Texas, they probably would have given him 2 years. They would have gave him the needle. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because they would have automatically unalive him. My problem with this whole case from the very beginning, from the time that the father walked into the press conference that the family was given, and the father had the nerve to come to the press conference, the family press conference, Carmelo family press conference, and
I
stand there and
remember
intimidate
that.
and the officers, and nobody told him. It took him a while to get him out of there. I knew from the very beginning that this case was not going to be tried
Because right
fairly.
there
I
was a
knew it.
flex of power and
Yes,
influence when he did that. Like, I can do what I want to do.
yes.
That was a
And
flex of power.
if they wanted it to be us to look at it as a fair trial, they wouldn't have a judge that's his best friend. They wouldn't have the father attending all these press conferences. They wouldn't have the father and family being intimidated. It just was just like a whole triple K type of action, and then that's it. He should have been moved from that area and had a fair trial. Now, I'm not
Yes,
saying
he
that the
should have been out
jury
of
was
that
not.
county. Yes, they should have requested a change of venue.
Yes,
And I want to
yes,
say this, the jury deliberated longer on the Diddy trial. I want y'all to think about this. They
yes.
deliberated
Thank you.
longer on the Diddy trial than they did the Carmelo Anthony one.
Yes, ma'am. And we were there. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we
Yes,
were
ma'am.
there, so we
And
know.
they had questions. And did the jury come back with any
No,
questions?
the
How
jury
many
asked
questions?
no questions.
Lord have
Meanwhile, the
mercy.
jury was asking questions back there, which let us know that they were actually deliberating and all of that.
Yes,
We waited longer for them than we did for Carmelo. M. King said, I feel we do our kids an injustice because we take them out of our communities for better education and more opportunity, but they are put in the lion's den. And you know what? That's true. That's true. We do move our children, we do move our families when we're able to. We move our families into better neighborhoods for better schooling, better opportunities for our children. But it doesn't matter because there's still a stigma that some people have. And I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying that everyone is a racist. I'm not saying that. But we have to acknowledge that justice is not fair. The scales are not balanced when it comes to color of skin. It does not. It's not. And we can't keep ignoring that. And now, as a people, we have to stop complaining and we have to become solution based. What is the solution? What can we do? What are we really going to do? When are we going to learn to stick together as a people, as a community? Because we can't expect people to really wholeheartedly stand with us and take up our plights when we can't even get our shit together for ourselves. It's a disgrace. I want to acknowledge these comments that are coming in. Metcalf showed up unexpectedly to the press event, initially stating he believed it would be a productive opportunity for the two families to come together.
oh please, come on now, please. And that's why the family
If
asked him to
that
be
was the
removed.
case, then why didn't he reach out to them and let that be known ahead of time? Because the optics were not favorable.
But not only that, the family asked him to be removed. So if they felt that he was coming there with good intention, why would the family ask him to be removed? Why was the family feel intimidated? Stop rewriting history. Let's
So
just accept what happened as what happened. Why would we try to rewrite history now? That's ridiculous.
So the question is, was the jury all white? If so, no wonder they are as unjust as they come. So to my understanding, it was not all white. To my understanding from the Guardian, it was white, there was Asian, and there was a Latino. I think there was like two Latino people, two Asian people, and the rest of them were white. But there were no black people on the jury at all. And people are saying that it was an all white jury, but I don't even know because at this point in time, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Everybody in legacy media is suspect because we watched them spin narratives. We watched them not give whole stories of what was going on in the Diddy trial on the legacy media. And that's no knock,
Yeah.
no dig towards them. But a lot of these news channels are run by political parties as well. And a lot of these affluent families also donate to these political parties and to these political figureheads. So therefore, there is some type of corruption that happens when it comes down to being able to get donations, being able to get their support, for them to be able to run or keep their seats or keep their positions. This thing goes deep.
I totally agree, but I do want to, because I'm going to leave. Thank you for having me on. I do
Thank
want
you
to
for
say
coming
one
up,
last
Mama
thing,
Flip. I
if you
appreciate
don't mind.
you.
If you don't mind me saying one more thing, that
Go
girl
ahead.
Henny, before I leave. I want to say that I feel also bad, and I might be overthinking it, but I think Carmela Anthony family did not have any idea that the people that they consider friends, because if you look at their family, you see the people that they hang around with, the people that they let their sons go to their houses and they
Mm-hmm.
participated. It was mostly, to me, just looking on it, mostly white friends, white family members. I don't think that they had an inkling really what racism is about until this happened to their son, and they had a very rude awakening and stuff like that. That's how I feel about it, because I don't know who their lawyer was, but if I was them, I would have had every single NAACP lawyer, OJ sister ish lawyer on their defense, because I think they honestly really thought that their son was going to have a fair trial down there. And the only way that a family that will feel that comfortable, and I'm not no disparaging the family because I know they did their best, is because I don't think that they thought, I think they thought that he could have had a chance to have a fair trial. That's just my opinion. I may completely wrong. If I'm completely wrong, I apologize. But I just did not, I just don't know if they understood the racism that they were going to fight against. That's just my opinion. And I
I
know
don't
it's
think they
loud.
did either. I don't think they
Thank you
did
so much
either.
for having me here.
Thank you for
I'm on
coming
my
up,
way
Mama Flip.
home, but I'll be listening. All right, darling.
Okay.
Thank you for having
Thank
me. Bye,
you.
everybody. Okay, bye, honey.
See you
Bye.
later.
See you later.
What is your name? Yoli56? Yoli56 says that, sorry, justice was served. Why don't you hit the link and come up here? I promise you're not going to get attacked. But I would love to hear how you feel that justice was served, because do you even understand what first degree murder is? First degree murder means that it was a plot and a plan for this to happen. That's not what this was. So that was not justice. That was not justice. I don't think people would have been upset if it had been manslaughter. But they charged him with first degree murder. This wasn't planned. He didn't intend to go there to kill Austin Metcalf. That was not his intention. And I think as long as people keep saying that part right there, justice was served, you miss the bigger picture. You miss the bigger picture. Does anybody else want to come up before I end this live? I was supposed to do some other things, but I just could not let the day go by. I was live talking about something else when this topic came up in the live, and it just threw me through a loop. And yes, I was very emotional behind it. It touched a certain part of my heart space. My heart goes out to both mothers. My heart goes out to Mrs. Metcalf. My heart goes out to Mrs. Anthony. My heart goes out to both of those mothers. But unless you're really willing to understand what the law really is, then you're not doing this case a service. You're doing it a disservice. You're doing this a disservice. And that tells me that you just wanted to see this boy swing, so to speak. That's what it tells me. You're not interested in justice. You're interested in being right. Well, if there's no one else that wants to come up and discuss this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say thank you all for tapping in and tuning in. This is a difficult conversation, but these are conversations that we absolutely need to have, because there's more to life than just gossip and drama and celebrities. We have real life shit happening around us every day, and we need to be aware of what's going on around us. Thank you all for tapping in and tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and of course, subscribe if you're new here. Thank you to everyone who's been here from the beginning or from whatever point you came in at. Thank you for all of the positive and even some of the controversial comments that were made. Thank you to Mama Flip for coming up. Vibe high so that the bullshit don't stick, you guys. And I will definitely see you all in the next one.